Hello, everybody. My name is Anna, and I am the creator of Magnetic Empowerment. And it is a wonderful day to break down exactly how I became a healer. I had someone ask me the question of where did I receive my training? And to be honest, I wasn't properly trained. I feel like in the world today, you need to go to a course, you need to get a certificate. And I did do some of that stuff. And to be honest, it always left me wanting more. And I didn't really adhere or register with the mainstream belief that if you have a degree, then you have the skills and the right to teach people. To be honest, my greatest teachers have been outside of my courses that I've taken, and they have allowed me to really embody the understanding that we are capable of being our own self-healers. We all have the capacity to do so. If you have a body, you can be your own self-healer. And the reason why I believe this so fully is because as a child, I could speak to Jesus. I know that sounds super fucking crazy. I could talk to angels, but I could also talk to entities and demonic beings, if you could rightfully say that. And that's also been a part of my journey. So I've had the gift of, I guess you could say, sight since I was a little kid. And I blocked off those gifts. And working with mentors throughout my journey have been activators. I don't want to downplay the importance of learning and studying, but I believe that teachers are meant to be activators. We're meant to take you to the next level and then let you figure it out. Maybe this is a tough love bit. Maybe this is just kind of how I've been raised and what I've had to go through. But when I learned the most is when I was left to my own devices. And I also understand that I was being called forth to really tap into my guides and tap into this network of wealth that really I wasn't being shown or displayed through my teachers. Everything that I saw being taught was very surface level, and I wasn't satisfied. And the main reason why I wasn't satisfied is because I had so many fucking issues I was trying to deal with. Now, I am 37 years old, and I definitely have a big story. I always joke that I came in with just enough fucked up that it allowed me to traverse these waters and figure it out. And I have learned by going through these experiences. So that's my first teacher, is firsthand experience. I'm the type of person that learns kinesthetically. And I also am so sensitive. I believe everyone has a capacity to tap into their six senses. The sixth sense. The sixth sense, I believe, is one of the five senses that is elevated. You could call them the clairs. For me, it was always feeling, and possibly more than that. I shut down all my gifts for a number of different reasons. One, due to a traumatic event that happened to me when I was 3. Also, being so sensitive, I could feel other people's emotions. I could hear their thoughts, and it just was like a fucking ambush every day to walk down the street. I didn't know what I was going to be hit with. I didn't know what I would be feeling. And looking back on it now, most of my life, I was feeling and reacting, and I was actually taking in people's feelings and emotions and expressing them. Because what I've learned as being a healer and working on bodies, I worked on bodies for 12 years, and that also was a big firsthand experience teacher. Because even with my massage, the training that I got, I was left wanting more because I had chronic pain my whole life. I didn't realize how bad my chronic pain was until I believe it was 32 or 33, and I stopped having pain. It's amazing to me what our body will do to disassociate from pain. And because I had such a sensitivity, I had locked up my body so I wouldn't feel, to protect myself. And through this locking of my body in a physical manner to protect me energetically, or so I thought, this created scoliosis. When I was 13, I was diagnosed with scoliosis. And at the age of 21, I was told I was going to need back surgery. And mind you, this is where I'm a big believer in recovery, because before this, what was it, 6 months? 6 months before this, I had been training to be a professional athlete, a professional boxer by a world-renowned trainer. He had trained lightweight champions in the Olympics. And I met him at my job. I worked at a hotel. It was a fitness facility and a hotel. I worked on the hotel side. I had just gotten out of a bad breakup, and I was letting loose on the boxing bags. And he comes up to me and he's like, do you want me to give you a few pointers? And I said, yeah. One thing led to another, and I found him training me. And I discovered how broken my body was. I'll never forget, he was like, you're like a 50-year-old woman in a 20-year-old body. And I remember just being like, fuck, man. Because I was 20 at this time, 20. And at 21, I was told I needed surgery. So being physically fit doesn't mean that you are actually physically healthy. And I saw this time and time again while working on people, on their bodies. And as someone who's so energetically sensitive, I could hear what their bodies was communicating. And a lot of the transference would come through, and I would physically feel their pain. And to keep up with the demands of my job, I had a regular practice of healing my body. But little did I know is I wasn't just healing my stuff, I was also healing everybody else's pain that I was taking on. Granted, it was an amazing teacher. I learned firsthand how to correct many issues. It taught me the importance of different body parts, different mechanics. It allowed me to dive deeper into an understanding of the body. It taught me about the lymphatic system. It drove me to just learn more and more because I was being hit with more and more issues. And I wanted to heal myself because, again, I said I had scoliosis. And as I continued on my journey, I ended up having early onsets of Parkinson's at the age of 30. Now, mind you, I had other issues that compacted and compounded this. I believe my Parkinson's was due to a splitting of the masculine and feminine energy. I believe it is definitely tied in the emotions. And when I started healing my Parkinson's, I started unmasking and really came into the light that, oh my God, you don't just have ADHD, you're definitely dyslexic, and you probably have autism. I will never forget, my stepmom is a trained therapist. She gave me a test, and this was maybe about 3 years into my healing, like really hardcore, had been doing the work, working with energy, doing my massage stuff, implementing my training, really committing to that. And I've been doing my work as much as I could since I was 18, because at 18 I went into rehab. I started using in high school, and it's something that I now realize I was doing because as a neurodivergent, this world is so fucking loud. It's so intense. And I realize that human emotions are some of the loudest things that you'll come into contact with. They're more disrupting to me than technology. And if you're an energy sensitive, you know that's saying a lot, because technology can be wildly disrupting to the body, to the nervous system, to your energetic field. And the fact that on my healing journey and what I've learned throughout the years and what I've experienced since my unmasking is how human emotions really play a part in pain, discomfort, especially on my own journey. And pain was the invitation to learn. So not only was I prompted throughout my life to heal, but also I was homeless. I chose to be homeless. I like to say I chose because I had been drinking. I got into like, I will touch more on the alcohol and I guess addiction. I believe there's more to the addiction, but the long and short is that when I was 18, I chose to go into rehab, and that started a long journey of self-discovery. Because one thing I've learned is, yes, I can blame a lot of people, but my stuff is my stuff. And the beautiful thing that I learned from AA was, you keep your side of the street clean. And, if other people want to join you, then they'll join you. But I learned firsthand that people won't fucking join you. It's funny how many parents want to send you to rehab, but then they don't want to do Al-Anon or look at themselves or dive deeper into that. And that is a hardship that I really wish a lot of addicts didn't deal with, because I was just reflecting on that today, how rehab is more a place to send people so you don't deal with it. But it's a symptom of a bigger issue. And so not only was I dealing with physical pain, but I was dealing with emotional pain. I was dealing with the shame of addiction. I was dealing with that, but I knew that addiction wasn't a genetic thing. I knew it was an emotional thing. I believe it is deemed genetic because we don't know the lengths of how far back that genetic wounding started. And if you look at the world we live in today, with the amount of trauma, the genocides, the racism, the classism, the social structures that we have in place, there's just so much stuff, the wars, the misplacement, there's just so much stuff where I'm like, makes sense that people have trauma. It makes sense that people carry this in their body. And it's not until you resolve that deep-seated trauma that it will start to leave your body. Those addictions will start to leave. That obsession will start to leave. That obsession is there because it's saying, I need to be seen and I need to be heard. And for some people, it comes out as addiction. Some people, it's autoimmune. Some people, it's cancer. Other people, there's a whole host of things that it can fucking be. But a part of me loves that it was a chemical dependency, because I can now gauge when I'm really getting off kilter. Because if you adhere to these social standards, you can actually hide behind the root of addiction, which is emotions. And that's the thing that really, got me going this past week, was there's so many emotions that I took on that were other people's issues from the family that I was dealing with. I was the one being called forward to heal this because I just couldn't fucking deal with it anymore. But on the same beat, there was stuff in me that I needed to, and I wanted to work on, because I wanted to be, I remember crying while working at this front desk while I was boxing. And I was like, will I ever be that little girl again? I'd lost her. And this is due to a lot of different issues that I had growing up. Coming from a family where there was no love, not true love. It was just a cold household. I just remember that. Being a neurodivergent child, not being misunderstood, not getting the help and support that I needed. Coming from a child of divorce, knowing that my parents were going to get divorced early on. I remember I was 6 and I asked my dad, hey, when are you and mom getting divorced? He just looked at me, dead stare, and just walked away. I was probably such a conundrum to my parents because I could tap into things. And this gift I had to bury, because not only did I learn that it was, unnerving around my family, but it was unnerving around society in general. And the more I got to know the energy, and as a child, I would study energies. And this is, again, that experience. This was one of my biggest teachers as a child. I would start studying people's emotions that I would pick up on and the words they would say to see if they were lying or not. Because I learned early on that people are fucking liars. People are liars. And I would always get so mad and upset because I was taught, I grew up in a Christian home, I'm a pastor's child, that you tell the truth. And there's that little autistic kid who's like, these are the rules and you stick by them. Well, no one fucking sticks by them. There's a weird backhanded system that we're taught how to manipulate and how to get things that you want, but still looking good to the outside world, putting on a nice face, but then you're manipulative and do all these nasty things behind the scene. Like everyone fucking does it, and it still gets me really angry and mad. And we've all, conformed to it in some degree. And there's a lot of things on my healing journey that I really started looking at where I'm like, well, how can I start deprogramming this? Because I could feel that I was just pulled into these ways of being that I didn't want to, and I couldn't stop. And I've come to realize through my studies that it has to do with energetic exchange. It has to do with collective thought forms. It has to do with, the genetic properties, quote unquote, or more so your generational trauma woundings. If you have more holes in your energy field, you are more likely to be taken advantage of by these collective thought forms. You're more likely to get swept up and more unconscious. But as a little kid, I never shut down my gifts fully. So I was aware of this, but it was like living in a third person perspective. I was witnessing all this stuff happen, but I couldn't control my body. It was always like this internal war going on inside. And I believe that added to the early onsets of Parkinson's. It was that knowing, that internal battle going on, that disconnection from mind, body, and spirit. And what I found for me is, even though I had all these hardships, going through them was what gave me the deepest answers. So there's a lot of experience. I have the experience of, just being energetically sensitive. I have the experience of having a lot of trauma in my life. I have the experience of addiction. I've had the experience of working through that addiction multiple times. I've had the experience of working through unmasking, working through recovering from, sexual assault, child of divorce, homelessness, pushing through and working through all that stuff and finding that deep resolve and meeting God in those moments of despair. I will never forget, I had just broken up with this guy and I called everybody and I literally got no one on the phone. And it's in that moment when I sat in silence and I heard God's voice. He's like, I want to talk with you. I want to be here for you. And I never forgot that, because moving forward from that point, whenever I wanted to get that connection from humans, I wouldn't get it. It pushed me to connect with the source that was beyond anything that I really knew about. Even though I was a Christian, growing up in a Christian church is one of the most hypocritical places you could ever fucking be. Like, I know we're all human. I know we all have that stuff, but the amount of judgment these people carry is very toxic, very unhealthy, and I believe caters to a lot of dis-ease, to be honest. In our society, I think a lot of religions do. I don't think a lot of religions adhere to the true, very upfront nature of what, the Bible teaches and preaches, which as a child, I never fucking understood either. It still blows my mind today. I just kind of let it lie. And it was another big reason that pushed me away from churches. It was a reason that pushed me away from AA. I realized it was the sick leading the sick, and I'm like, there's got to be something more. And so as I continued my journey of just living life, trying to figure out what I wanted to do, I remember going to college and really struggling. And I realized how much I had dumbed myself down to be around people. And I realized I was struggling a lot in a way that I hadn't in high school. And to me, I was like, well, is this the drugs? The drugs? That sounded so funny. And it wasn't the drugs. It was me unmasking, not having a tolerance, like someone who has an allergic reaction. I could no longer hide and mask and deal with the amount of energies I had been surrounded by in my life. And let me tell you, schools are so toxic, yo. Like, oy. And I don't think it could be helped because kids are going through such a fluctuation of hormones. There's just not the society, but the environment that those schools really perpetuate is woof. So for me, I got to, in college, I could no longer hold in my allergic reaction to people's energies. And so I would short out, I would get tired. And yes, I do say that, using did play a part in this, but at this point I was just smoking because I had gone to rehab, done all this stuff, and then went to school, and then I started smoking again. I remember one day I picked up a drink and I was like, if I can have one, they say, if you can have one drink, congratulations, good. You're good. And I could, and I can. That's the crazy thing. But what I've realized as a neurodivergent is that gets a lot harder, and I'll share that in a different episode. My ADHD brain wants to go off on a tangent right now. That's just how it rolls. SideQuest Pro 101 for anyone out there who's listening. So what I found in this going to school and realizing my issue, and through the healing, I realized that I was so right-brained and my dyslexia was bad. And I remember I'd gone to college, I was smoking. Pot actually helped me a lot with my, school issues and ADHD until it didn't, because I was taking in, again, so much sensitivity. Smoked pot, it made it worse. So I ended up looking to quit, which I did. I haven't smoked in a really long time. It's definitely not for me. There's an emotional and energetic thing around that, which I think is really important to talk about. I'll talk about my experience with that later. And what happened was I remember reading all these books and getting through all this stuff for school. I was at San Francisco State at this time. I got accepted into their art program. And this was before I made this big switch into massage therapy due to budget cuts and just a fear that art was not for me. But I remember taking these classes, reading these books, and being like, if you can do this, you can do anything. And I realized right then and there that my dyslexia was a gift. If I wanted to learn and connect in with people, books were going to be my biggest answer, because they were my biggest challenge. So not only teacher number one experience, teacher number two is going through your biggest challenges. And for me, that's reading. For me, that's language. It always has been. And I think that's why I get more comfortable with frequencies, because it's a universal language that goes beyond words. But I wanted to connect. I wanted to expand. And it makes me want to cry, because I just remember it's hard. It's hard with the ADHD and everything else, and trying to stay focused enough because I want to learn. But what I learned from reading was there's a time and a place, and there's a reason why I can't read books like other people. I'm not meant to consume like that, because reading actually is a spiritual task of really absorbing. And I know I've heard some people, they'll read a chapter, go live it, experience it, and then come back. They'll really absorb the teachings. And this is how I learn the most, is I will read, absorb, go, do, experience, embody it, and then come back. And there's a lot of weird, crazy experiences that I've had from my dyslexia, which I have other theories about, but I'm not going to dive into that here. But my greatest teachers have been through books. It's been like a big treasure hunt of books just finding me. An example of this was my first week of massage therapy. I was at this hotel and I got 2 books gifted to me. One book was on past life healing. Another book was on massage. And the one thing that stuck out to me in that book was how there's a chakra system on the bottom of your feet. And so I started incorporating that into my massage. And that little key bit of information was the thing that started me learning a new style of massage. I created a whole new style of massage that actually caters to the flow of one's energy. I just rewired everything, and I had amazing results. Like it's a game changer, because whoops. Okay, sorry. I love that song. Pretenders. Um, because for me, with these books, so I like, anyways, about the massage, like that's just one example. I learned all that from reading books. It wasn't from going to a teacher. Yes, I had an amazing teacher that laid the foundations, that was the activation. But once you get out of these schools, and what I've found after taking different courses, I took the massage course, I've taken a shamanic course, I've taken 2 shamanic courses actually. One was an intro, and then one was a full-on like course of really learning how to do it with the 4 winds. Another course I took was lymphatic drainage. I took Reiki 101, past life healing, and I've taken biomagnetism. And I've taken courses at school and different things like that. But things that you wouldn't expect to be a teacher were teachers, which were books. I remember learning about the body through singing classes, through acting classes, things that you wouldn't associate with the term of who did you learn under. I've learned under everyone, and this leads into number 3. Everyone is a teacher and everybody is a student. If you are aware of your surroundings and you are conscious to your own divine goodness, this will then lead you to the experience of taking in information and learning. For me, once I really started my spiritual journey, I took all that energy that I was expanding out into the world and I brought it into my body. I started listening to my body. It started teaching me things. It started showing me things. And then incorporate that inner body knowing with a want to learn. I'd go read books, and then I would test and I would study. I'm a little scientist at heart. And I'd figure this stuff out. And because my body was so fucked up, I would practice it on me. And if it felt better and if I had good resolve, then it's definitely going to work on somebody else. But lo and behold, I didn't know that I was taking in other people's stuff. So in hindsight, thank you to all the people that allowed me to take on their pain so I could learn. And it got to a point 2 years ago, 2024, a year ago, where I was like, enough is enough. I can't do this. And I remember sitting there with my guides and they're like, you've learned the lesson. You don't need to keep doing this. So I was like, well, what's the next step in my process? And having taken all the knowledge that I've had over 12 years, plus everything I've read in books, plus everything that I've experienced firsthand, plus everything that I've worked through, that I've cherished in these experiences of life, I was able to create these online courses where energy healing is put into these frequencies that have magnet pair therapies, which then when you listen to it, you receive that healing. And the amount of growth that I saw from that was like nothing else I'd ever experienced. Because when I did massage, I knew it wasn't. Massage always led into an emotional thing. And the emotional thing I knew was on a deeper level, and it had to do with the auras, the chakras, and the meridians. And so when I learned about magnet therapy, which is basically what I had been doing the whole time I had been doing massage therapy, it was one of those things where I was like, oh, I've been doing this the whole fucking time. I just knew this was the missing puzzle piece. So I started putting all the puzzle pieces together. And once I figured out that puzzle piece, my guides are like, well, you don't need to do a massage anymore. So we've moved on to this next bit where I finally feel I'm at a place on my journey where I have enough experience, firsthand experience, to truly speak out on this. This is why I don't like fucking courses. People parrot a lot of information, but to truly understand it and work through it is another level of honesty and integrity that I wanted to be in alignment. And there were so many times on my journey where I was like, oh yeah, I'll just start the online thing. I'll start posting. I'll just start rambling. And every time I would hit these blocks, and it reminded me of reading. But those blocks meant that there are other things that I needed to do so that I could get better. Because that's just something that I've come to love about myself is there is a beauty to my perfectionism. Is it a double-edged sword? Absolutely. But if you can slice and dice that bitch perfectly, it's on the money. And I also understand by working with people that there is no one thing fits all. So I wanted to create a course that encompassed all these different modalities, all my learning, because you are made up of so many layers. The human body is so amazing. And I will never forget, I got my wish. I remember sitting in an English class down in Saddleback College when I was getting my GED and associate's degree, whatever. And I remember sitting there, I was like, I just don't want to be bored in life. I sure picked something that is not boring, because this work is forever evolving, forever changing, and it's forever challenging me to keep shifting and changing. And what I've seen on my journey is, the physical body, you can do so much, but if you really want to heal the deeper part of it, you have to address the stress patterns that are held within not just the physical body, but your energetic systems of the meridians, the chakras, and the aura. And there's so much more that I receive downloads around, and this is all thanks to a mentor that I had for 3 months. We met twice a month, and I paid for those classes. And again, that's the activation. She was the last massage energy healing mentor. I took a year-long course to be a coach, and it was a beautiful experience, but I decided not to be a coach, or at least not to get certified under this woman's style of coaching, because I felt that I was not in true alignment, because I was getting these deep, amazing results because I was using the magnet therapy, because I was utilizing the tool that I had. I'm like, I have a tool that anyone can use if they want to dive deeper into their healing experience, whether it is healing their mindset, healing their body, which the two are interconnected. Like, you just cannot. They are intertwined. There's no deviating from that. You can try. I mean, I did physical work and it always led me back to the emotional. Sometimes I would just do emotional, it always lead me back into the physical. I truly believe that I believe to get the best results is you should heal the emotional first, the energetic. I call the emotional and the energetic one and the same. So the energetic layer, which then ties into the emotional layer, which then gets into the physical layer, and then you can deal with the pathogen layer. Some people do it backwards. I mean, there is no right or wrong. I feel as long as you're on your journey, good for you. As long as you're pursuing self-improvement, amazing. But I know for myself, because I was so sensitive and because of my makeup around addiction, I really got to see firsthand, and the Parkinson's, like I got pushed to do this work. It wasn't like it was, this is a do or die kind of situation. And I lived a lot of my life in fight or flight thanks to that, and even before that. And that's, mainly due to being a neurodivergent and not knowing it. And I'm going to wrap. I remember I was sharing, and I've totally deviated from this, but my stepmom gave me a test about autism. And she took the test too, and I didn't know that. And so I took the test with the mindset of, how would I look healed versus unhealed? I'm going to give 2 answers because I wanted to see if there was a huge fucking difference. If spirituality truly was the key to unmasking, or if it's a symptom of, if really choosing your spiritual path is what creates unmasking. I still have a theory around that, but I tested only 2 points apart. It was like out of 26, and I got 24. I got like 3 points away. I don't know. I got 22 and 24, 2 points off. I remember the look on her face. She just stared at me, and I was like, "What'd you get?" 3. In my fucking head, I'm like, 3? What the fuck? And this is one of those moments where I was like, aha, this all makes sense. And I've used those gifts, those challenges, to help me really hone my practice. which has allowed me to receive more guidance and knowledge and tap into my inner journey of meeting my guides, of working with my spirit team, working with spirit animals, working with the energies of astrology because they tie into your energy field, how that works with the collective, understanding human design. I love that there's so many different tools that have helped me to understand myself. And it's my love of knowledge, wanting to learn, going through challenges, and listening to the body. Those have been my 3 biggest fucking teachers. And yes, I have taken courses. Absolutely. I'm always open to learning. I'm always open to experiencing. But at the end of the day, it's funny how it always comes back to, if you want the most improvement, if you want the most growth, you have to do that in between the sessions. You can't have a mentor hold your fucking hand the whole time. They're meant to activate you. I feel like a mama bird, like, okay, we're going to kick you out the nest. You have everything you need. Fly on, birdie. Because I think people get too fucking complacent, or they start to have that look of awe and they start worshiping when that's not what should be worshiped. What should be worshiped is the amazing spark that lives in all of us, that Christ consciousness that lives in all of us. And in healing yourself energetically, you can then start to look through that lens with greater ease. You can start shifting your reality. And the fact that I've done all this stuff from moving out of physical pain, I'm no longer in chronic pain. If something flares up, I'm like, okay, I know how to handle this. Bing, bong, boom, gone. Bada bing, bada boom. And if I ever have emotional stuff, I know how to handle that too. I have to say, one of my greatest teachers recently was when I hurt my knee. It really taught me the depths of dopamine exchange for ADHD people. It taught me to be so silent. It taught me the depths of addiction because I couldn't exercise, I couldn't move, I couldn't do anything. And so I was like, okay, well, what am I going to do while I sit here? I was like, I'm going to heal the root cause of all this issue because I know my physical body is mirroring an imbalanced foundation. And when I went deep into my energy healing, I went deep. I laid the foundation, I cleared everything out energetically, and then I started implementing physical routines and activities. And I'm still building on that. And I love what I'm learning. I love what I'm learning about the nervous system. I love what I'm learning about my neurodivergency on a level that's never been fucking taught. And I don't see people talk about it. I know it's starting to be talked about more and more, but the fact that I could experience it firsthand was phenomenal because it takes the question out of it. It takes putting the power into someone else's hand. Yes, I encourage learning, but to me, sometimes the scientific mumbo jumbo just falls short because I had a past life where I was a male scientist and I wanted to know the true inner workings of life. And I remember pulling this past life out of me while sitting at the beach during a huge astrological transit, and I just sat there and fucking laughed because there were so many times where I'd be sitting on the pity potty pot and just crying, why me? Why is this happening? And when, why am I so sensitive? Me. And then I had that past life come forward, and I was like, fuck, I asked for this. What better way to experience life, the opposite side? Because this male was purely intellectual. And the way he was going about it was through the lens of the world that he lived in at that time, which is great, but he didn't get the full understanding. So guess what he came back as? A neurospicy as fuck female who is a shaman and oh my God, who also has, Jesus, oh my God, the genetic makeup of 7 different nationalities coursing through my blood, which is another thing that I feel like has been a part of my journey in understanding that, which is all bringing about this way of embracing myself. But one fucking teacher could never have taught me that. And I know some people have teachers, and I know people say get a mentor. But the fact of the matter is my guides are my mentors. I have access to them whenever the fuck I want. I just have to make the time. And I think that's the hardest thing, is learning to commit, create that sacred space, make time for that. And that's why I love my energy healing tools, is basically they're like a key that unlocks a door, and I can enter in and do my healing and meet with them. And I've gone through this very deep activation over the last 2 years in preparation of creating this last course. I felt like a pregnant woman of 9 months like the last year. I want to move fast. I want to move forward, but it's not on my time. Back to, I would like to read faster and I'd like to learn faster, not on my time. Me, the way I'm built, the way I've been made up, divinely made up, is in such big fucking contrast to the way this world is, as I've literally had to create a new way of being outside of the patriarchal society that we have today. It doesn't mean that I cannot be successful. I've just had to deprogram everything. But the speed in which I've been able to do it since creating this course has been phenomenal. And it's going to be coming out sometime this year. I thought it was going to come out in May, but I've been making more edits. So I'm just sometime this year. So stay tuned for that. But that is my answer, because wrapping it up, this woman asked me, she's like, oh, you can just sum it up. Who's your mentors? And I knew this woman was poking and prodding just to kind of compare and contrast, and kind of like, people like to size you up on the internet, for sure. You know, maybe that wasn't, but I was picking up on that energy. So if you weren't, lady, if you're watching this, cool, sorry. But it was another boundary thing for me, like being like, I told her, this talk deserves more than a 10-minute snippet. I'm not going to rush myself to give a quick answer because someone wants a quick fix, a dopamine hit, I want my answer now. This journey and this podcast is all going to be about unraveling all of it. Not just for you guys, but for me. And I'm really cherishing all of this, but I want to take time in explaining these processes and my story and my experiences so you can have a deeper understanding of yourself, so you can feel empowered to be like, yo, if she can do that, I can do that. Because that's the long and short of it. Growing up, everyone's like, oh, Anna will never change. And the fact that I've changed my life the most out of, I don't know how many people I've met, like, there's still a core essence of me that is and always will be Anna, for fucking sure. That's what people love about me. They're like, oh, you're always Anna. I'm like, yes, 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 I am. We're just a little more controlled because I understand myself now. I understand how the energies work. I know how to work with them rather than being like a fish swimming upstream every single day of my life. It's fucking exhausting, yo. And so I encourage you, if your soul tells you to take a course, do it. It's for a reason. But that comes from your inner knowing. Working with your body will be your biggest teacher, because that is the gateway to the soul. Your body is the temple. Work with the body and you will start to uncover so many truths and things that will serve you. And understanding my body, understanding my desires, understanding what I loved, those are things that helped me on my journey. I wanted to sing, I wanted to dance, so I took dancing classes. And what did that do? It helped heal my sexual assault that happened to me when I was 16. I remember that trauma coming out of me in my dance class. Oh, it was such a good class. It was so much fun. They had like a live drummer, and anyways. The guy told me to take ballet. I still haven't done that. I've taken ballroom dancing. Pole dancing was one of the most healing things for my sexual trauma, because I was in a room full of women and we were all just cheering each other on. It was beautiful, for the most part, for the most part. But, dance, taking acting classes, just doing things that really light me up. I took a comedy class while living in LA. There's all these little things that ended up being bigger teachers. Committing to self-care routines. I started doing it once a month. Instead of going out and spending money on bars, I would spend that money on self-care. That was one of the biggest switches, where I was like, okay, what am I really spending my money on? And where can I shift those expenses and put it into self-care? And that was a very big game changer. And then through the tapping into your body leads to more life experiences. It leads to a deeper understanding of yourself, of the world around you. I remember the start of my big journey. I lived in New Zealand for a year, a little autistic girl, never traveled, never been away from home. Let me go to New Zealand, the furthest place from California. I did that. And that my guides told me to do. I've moved so many times since my guides have been like, you need to do this. Like, for example, New Zealand. And the more you do it, the more you understand the energy and the surges that come up and out. When I was told to move to LA, so I lived in New Zealand. I was prompted to come back. And then after a little bit of time, and I regressed back into bad habits. And that'll be a part of my addiction series, because that needs to be talked about, because I want to talk about my smoking, because I'm quitting smoking again, and the processes that I've gone through and how they weren't failures. They were just building on greater success each time that I had to quit. But when I was working at this job, I could feel that I was not happy. Everything about living there, I just was not happy in this place in my hometown. And I remember sitting with my guides, and they're like, go to LA. And I was like, I don't want to do that. That scares me. But I know this feeling. I was like, so I'm gonna challenge you, universe. I'm like, if I'm meant to go, I'm going to, because it was my dad's 60th birthday, and I promised myself I wouldn't miss out on life experiences because of my grandpa, who had Parkinson's and how he passed away. That's a big part of my story too. I promised myself that I wouldn't let things get in the way of living. It was my dad's 60th birthday. We were going to go do the Camino de Santiago. It was going to be me, my dad, my sister, and my brother. And I gave them 3 months notice. I was like, if they say they give me that time off, I'm staying here. I'm not moving. If I put in that time and they don't give me the time off, I'll move. So I had to have the courage to go in and hold. That's the one thing I've also learned. You have to meet the universe halfway. So I went in, put it in my request, and it got denied. So I started planning. I let my dad know. I did all this and that, moved to LA. That began my big journey of unmasking, healing my Parkinson's, all this stuff. And, it happened most recently. I was in a job thinking, oh, this will be great. This will be, comfort, blah, blah, blah. And it ended up showing me the depths of the feminine healing. And it told me that I would not be at this job for very long. 2 months in, my spirit guides are like, I need you to because I was listening to my body, because at this point I was like, if I stay in this job, I will drink and use. This is not good. I don't want to do that. And I'm not going to let someone else's disease and emotional bullshit filter into my life, because I was doing all the energy healing. I was doing all the work. But even a great oak, if it gets hacked at consistently over time, will fall. And I knew that would happen to me. And I was also trying to quit cigarettes. I was like, I can't quit cigarettes if I'm in this job. So my guides are like, put in your resignation for the 21st, which was right before this huge equinox and all this stuff. And but I didn't have a job lined up. And it's been it's helping me to the next level of sit in my trust with this process and not fall into fear. And there's been moments for sure where I'll get into that fight or flight, but I'm learning how to navigate all that and open up my nervous system so I can receive more. Because I love this content creating. I absolutely love it. I love sharing this stuff with you guys, and I love the availability and the possibility and the prospect of sharing this healing with people, because I wish I had this when I was younger. It would have saved me so much fucking hell. And the fact that it breaks everything down so you could understand yourself, it's just simply understanding yourself brings so much fucking peace. I didn't understand shit. I wasn't getting answers from anybody. So I had to go do that research, and I found it. So experiences, research, working with your body, those are your 3 teachers. And that is why anyone can be their own fucking healer. For sure. Anyone has the capacity to heal. And that's why I wanted to create courses where I give you the tools, I give you the know-how, and then you go ahead and do it. Because for myself, I realized that being a massage therapist and a healer, I was playing into the role of codependency because I saw the energetic exchange and how people truly weren't taking ownership of their healing. And I was taking the hit of that. Even though there was a money exchange, not all money, that money to me was not worth it. My health was worth more than what I was being hit with, because I remember this client I had, he texted me. The second I accepted his request, I had anxiety for 3 days until I massaged that person and it was gone. And that's when I realized, oh my God, I'm tapping into these people's energy before the moment I accept their request. I'm living their energy so I can be a good healer. That's how empathetic I am. Oh my God, and sensitive. So in me stepping away from this career and being able to focus on the online business, which not only will allow me to reach more people, but it's also more affordable. But it's also allowing people the tools that allowed me to heal, because I stopped receiving massage. There's some stuff I'll do at home, but the root issue, I'll deal with it through magnet pair therapy frequencies. It's fucking phenomenal, yo. And I literally have done it all. I have done it all. And it's an amazing tool that you can use alongside any other modality, which I love. But when it comes to teachers and training, you can't miss out from learning. You absolutely cannot. But trust your inner guidance. Are you doing it for an ego reason, or are you doing it to get to, expand and know yourself? That was the other crazy thing. I took this coaching course thinking that would be my next step, and my guides are like, this isn't an alignment for you. And I'm like, this isn't an alignment for me. So it's yeah, I got so much out of that year, but also I realized this also is not the style in which I want to coach. I don't even know if I want to coach, and maybe I will. And if I do, it'd probably be around coaching people with ADHD, autism, ADHD, dyslexia, how to be fucking kick-ass entrepreneurs, or how to navigate and deprogram yourself in a world that does not hold space for us. We deserve that space, and I fucking know how to do it. So if anything, that's the coaching world I'll be under, but I won't be implementing her tools. Yes, I learned some stuff, and yeah, I'll take some of it with me, but the meat and potatoes is really the energy healing, and I just hold space for them. And if they want someone to, walk them through it and just hold that space, because I do believe at different times in our life, it is good to have mentorship. It is good to have a therapist. I've had therapy. I will do it when my guides call me to do it. I don't rely on it forever, because I believe that work needs to be done in our day-to-day life. If you need someone to keep track of you, cool. Again, everyone's on their own journey. Everyone does their own thing. But for me, therapy just was not fucking cutting it. And half the time, the experience I had always plateaued. I'm like, okay, well, that's great. I'm going to go take what I learned and let's go implement it now. And that's just what I've done. But for me, I was like, I have to be in alignment with the coaching that I provide. And I have to be in alignment. I probably will do just a 90-day container, and then just not cut people off, but be like, here's the tools. You know what you're doing. If you want a refresher, come back to me in X amount of time. I don't know the amount of time. I'm not putting it out there. But I believe in 90, because I work so fast and I work so quickly, 90 days is more than enough for you to get, I'm the get you on the tricycle, get you onto that trainer. We're going to go quickly, bada bing, bada boom. We're going to fucking have you flying in no time flat, because I want you guys to live your life. I want you to fucking enjoy it to the most. But I am a tough love person. I will take you into the depths of it, have you take ownership, because that's what's worked for me. And that's what your spirit guides won't let you get around. But I do understand that it is nice to have someone with spiritual background and an acceptance and a not. Everyone's come to me like, you just don't judge. No, fuck, I don't judge. Like, the fuck? We want to spend a day in my shoe? I fucking hate judgment. I fucking hate it. But it's just shame and judgment are just the biggest addictions in this world. Like, one of them, some of them, emotions, just emotions. And that's something else that, you just have to work through. And that's the thing I love about these products is, you do them and you have them and you have that safety net to protect you in those big moments. And that's why I'm really excited to have it while I'm doing this, part of my life. Because I feel like for once, my life is finally mine. Because one, I understand it through all the studies. Two, I'm working with my body finally. And three, all the blocks and the hindrances and the energetic gunk that wasn't mine, I'm fucking finally free of. Like that makes such a big difference. And I think that ties into addiction big fucking time. Like, no shadow, there's no doubts from me on this end. Because your girl has been through it all, that's for sure. And I just want to bring hope to people. I want people to be able to live and enjoy their life, because I will never forget thinking about not being able to move with Parkinson's. That really pushed me because I love dancing. Even if I white girl it hard, guys. Yes, I could shake a little booty, little Puerto Rican comes out of me, but white girl to the end. When it comes to the dancing, I just go all out. But the thought of not being able to do that, and that was honestly the beginning of my adventures. I looked at my parents. They both had knee issues, and I'm like, well, how can I avoid this? Ironically, I had my own knee issue, but it's brought about some of the greatest growth for me, really, truly. And to see where my body's going to take me next is fucking exciting. And the fact that I'm 37 and I feel like my life is just beginning is great. So I'm going to leave you on that one. So it's never too late to heal. It's never too late to connect with your body. And if you have a willingness to learn, an openness to connect with your body, and the audacity to go through your challenges with support from whatever tool you choose, whatever outlet, you're on your way. You're fucking on your way. And I'm so proud of anyone who is doing their work and doing this, because this is God's work, man. This is it. It's fucking phenomenal. So thank you so much for joining me for this first episode. I have no idea what I'm going to call this fucking podcast. What the fuck? I don't know. But it's been a pleasure, and we'll see you in the next episode.